Katie talking.
Hi everyone. Sorry. Hi, Sophia. Hi, Lorenzo. Thanks for holding on for a couple of minutes. I loaned my other partner my login credentials, and so I could. He was still logged in, so I couldn't get logged in. I got logged in, but I couldn't control anything, so I wouldn't have been able to share the screen. So, anywho, we're back. Hi, Katie.
Hi, how are you?
Yeah, Lorenzo and Sophia are already waiting for us. I'm great. I'm so excited to be here. It feels like 100 years since you and I were live, even though it was like a week ago. But
I know.
Maybe it was 2 weeks, but a lot has happened, right? So welcome to everyone. And if you aren't familiar, Katie is not super familiar with the Dan Markel case. I've been following it kind of obsessively for a long time. And so I decided to start talking about the interrogation of Wendi Adelson right after Dan's unfortunate murder. So Katie was asking me a question when we were going live. Katie has the distinction of having the same nickname as Katherine Magbanua. So it's a different Katie.
Yeah, it's not me. I have nothing to say.
Nothing to do about, yeah, right. So, okay. So one of the things you guys don't know behind the scenes is Katie's getting super interested in this case. And she came on board kind of as someone who would look at this like we would have looked at it the first time. Because when I look back, I had different viewpoints about this interrogation than I do now. Part of it is because I've seen it several times, but also the trial has happened. And it's hard to, because when you're thinking about what they knew at the time, when they were interrogating her or interviewing her, whatever you want to call this thing that we're looking at, they didn't know what we know now. They didn't have Luis Rivera's proffer. They didn't have 2 trials and now another arrest. So Katie, have you done any more research to familiarize yourself with this case?
I did, because I feel like I already have such an opinion about Wendi that learning more about the case wouldn't have swayed me.
Right.
Because this interview, it seems so fake. Like she's always seemed fake from the very first fake sob, you know?
Right.
So, yeah. So then the question does become, how much more does she know? Or what did she know and when did she know? Right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
So I went and listened to the Over My Dead Body podcast.
Oh, nice.
Covering this. Yeah.
Nice. Yes. In fact, I listened to that a second time before doing this too. I mean, I kind of looked at, yeah. Well, that's great. I mean, I don't think it matters, because I think our first impressions are our first impressions. And to be honest, I don't think I've mentioned this before, but the first time I saw this, I didn't know anything about the case at all. And I was kind of 50-50.
Really?
On her crying. I tend to give people the benefit of the doubt, like big time. But there were a lot of things that she was saying that were like, no, that doesn't make sense. So I was more not focusing on the crying. But a lot of people were like you. They were like, this is a fake cry. They knew it from the beginning. They felt that way. And they compared it to another one who got arrested for murdering her husband. I forgot the name. The last name starts with a D, Delao or something like that. Anyway, so yeah. Okay. And then, so have you seen any of the live streams I did while you were gone?
No.
Okay. So what happened last week, really, I think it was the 16th, if I'm not mistaken, we got word that Katherine Magbanua, who has been tried and convicted, found guilty. She's life plus 60 years, life plus 60, and I believe no parole. We got notice that there was of transport, that she was being transported back from prison to the Tallahassee facility, courthouse, jail and courthouse, ultimately, as a state witness. So she was named already as a witness. So there must have been some negotiating going on for a little while for that to have been set in the paperwork. And I put that in the community pages. I shared that from the original post. And there have been a few live streams about that already. As you can imagine, everyone's wondering what's she going to say. And as we speak, today is Monday, November 28th, 2020. Again, this murder was July 18th, 2014. So many years later. The transport paperwork said for her to go to the court. I can't remember the exact wording, but to have this meeting from the 28th through the 30th. So as we're speaking, they may be in the midst of her proffer, her information.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Which
so a couple questions
will hopefully be testified in Charlie's upcoming trial, which now was postponed. He had a case management hearing December 2, which is I think Friday of this week. So that got moved out to at least the 15th, I think, or 16th. But I have a feeling it's going to be delayed even more. He wanted a speedy trial. He wanted to go to trial like in January. You know, that's kind of what often the defense will ask for. They'll say, okay, if you've got something, we want you to show it right away. So, okay. So what was your question? Sorry. I wanted to
okay. No, yeah, it's okay. Okay. So Katie, she worked for Charlie at his dentist office, correct?
The family dentist office.
The family. Were her and Charlie actually a couple?
Yes.
And that's been proven?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
No denying that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And she has children with the shooter. Is that correct?
Correct. 2 children with the shooter. Mm-hmm. Sigfredo.
Okay. So do you think she's talking right now only to be a witness in Charlie's case, or do you think she has info on Wendi and Donna?
Well, I mean, do I think? What do I know? But here's what I would think. Because Donna and Wendi have been for a long time named co-conspirators, unindicted, named co-conspirator, meaning either they have yet to be indicted or they went to and we don't know this, or they went to the grand jury and the grand jury said, now there's not enough here, which is doubtful, but that doesn't mean they can't go back to the grand jury at least once. So because of that, and because they've arrested Charlie and are already proceeding to trial, my feeling is that to make a deal with her, they're going to want not only to reinforcements for the current trial for Charlie, but to bring in these other 2 arrests. Okay. I can't imagine, because she had the opportunity to take this plea deal many times and walked away from it. And I don't think that anyone who's looking for justice, or certainly, you know, the prosecutor's office, you know, looks super kindly on that, because she went through this whole trial. Well, let's see if you can find me guilty or not, right? She got away with a mistrial the first time. Yeah, there was a hung jury, I believe. So, but she still had to stay in jail until she was tried again. And then she had to go through COVID and delays. So it wasn't until earlier this year that she was found guilty in the second trial. Right.
So what is she getting for being a witness now?
One of my subscribers, Dahlia, here we go. One of my subscribers over the weekend said there's a new case number. I posted it in the community section of my page here on YouTube, if you're looking. And it does say that, if this is true, because I couldn't see, I mean, I don't have access to those records, but she gave our audience the new case number, and it was a plea deal, and it appeared that she's going to get 30 years. So
plus the 60 that she's already serving.
That was a little iffy, but probably not, just 30 which would make it worthwhile. And you think about it, she's been in prison or in jail or some form of incarceration for 6 years. So that would be 24 more years if you're counting times. So, and she has children and all that. So, it might be, it might be that she wanted to plea and her attorneys are saying, no, we think you can win this, or, and just walk away. But she took her chances.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then they have recordings of, is it Luis, of one of the shooters, one of the Tato, and yeah, one of them.
Yes.
Anyway, they have recordings. And the little bit that I listened to on Over My Dead Body, like, doesn't it appear very obvious to you that Wendi and or Donna are involved based on his information?
Well, certainly Wendi, he mentions Wendi by name. Luis Rivera pled guilty.
Okay.
He was the driver. Sigfredo was the shooter.
Okay.
He pled guilty and got a deal for testifying, for proffering and testifying. And in his proffer, which I've also been doing in shorts, little clips, and then little short 2-minute when he lays out the story without an interruption from the investigator. He says that Katie was in the middle of it. She was the one that paid them, but it wasn't for Katie. It was for the lady. And who was the lady? It turns out in his story was Wendi.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's what he said.
It's crazy to me that they still don't have enough evidence.
Well, they wouldn't have named her. They wouldn't have possibly named her without something.
Okay.
She's a named conspirator, which means a lot. Like that means a lot.
Okay.
You wouldn't name her without something. So there's got to be some evidence. And we don't know everything they have either. But yeah, Luis really did lay a lot out. And his credibility, he seemed pretty genuine by most parts. I mean, there's 2 guilty pleas or 2 guilty verdicts, from what he said so far.
Sure.
Alone.
Okay.
And then they've come out with more surveillance and things like that.
Okay.
And go Georgia, by the way, greatest YouTube handle name. Georgia is the name, Georgia Kappelman is the name of the prosecutor who's trying this. Agree. It seems like they had enough after Luis names her. Right. So it's irritating to a lot of people watching this and wanting justice for the Markel family, why they were out living their best life for the last 8 years, and this is what I brought up too, is the injustice of the ones who were basically the paid help going to jail and serving their time while the ones who did the paying, and it doesn't seem to be any question. In fact, Katie in her very last testimony in her last trial, and she did take the stand in both trials, which is interesting, was asked if she thought Charlie had anything to do with it, and she said yes. So that was interesting. It was just like, so she said yes.
And wasn't it Donna paying Katie to work at?
Correct.
But there were never any hours recorded, or
there was never ever evidence that she did any actual work. There's evidence that she got paid. Right.
Okay.
Okay, here's a fun one I haven't brought up on this channel before. This is something that tells me about this family. Okay. I don't think I've ever brought this one up, but, and if I did, I'm sorry, I'm getting old. I'm just repeating myself. But okay. So the Adelsons, Harvey Adelson is Wendi's dad. He's a dentist. Okay. Mom works in the office. They have like a little family dentistry office. Charlie, the son, was a periodontist, so he did some of the surgical work. And he was kind of a travel, like many periodontists are. They all go do whatever they need to, like extractions or whatever, for other dental offices. So the Adelsons have this little family business. It's, like a normal dental office, in a strip mall, right? It's not a big, okay.
Yep.
And when I first heard about this case, I heard, this family's a prominent family, the Adelsons, a prominent family in Miami, and they own the Adelson Institute. And I'm like, what is the Adelson Institute? Like, I thought this was like some really big deal. Dude, it's a dentist office in a strip mall. Okay? I'm sorry, but no one else seems to talk about that. But that tells me so much about who they think they are, this family. Even if they didn't do any of this stuff, it's like, what is that? Like, who names their family dental office an institute? An institute is a place where people learn things.
Oh man.
Okay, and Go Georgia says Wendi is a skilled lawyer, clearly working desperately behind the scenes to save herself, then maybe her family too. Well, sure. She's an attorney. I don't know how skilled she is. She never really practiced regular law. She got a job right out of college because of Dan having the position at the university. So she was in a faculty role, but she's a smart, she's educated. Here's another thing I thought about today, actually. Okay, so you think about I've been listening to some other podcasts. Surviving the Survivor had a psychologist on, and she was talking about the family of narcissism. And I'm not diagnosing them, but I don't think she was either, but she was saying it appears to be a lot of narcissism in the family, which is pretty obvious. But then there's this family of narcissism. Right. So there's one thing to have a narcissist or two, but then to have this whole family. And I'm thinking these boys, regardless of how this turns out, they're going to grow up in a family because they are with the Adelsons now, much to many's chagrin. Like, why the Markels can't see them is beyond, but
maybe and if they're named conspirators, I just don't understand. They're named conspirators in their dad's murder. I don't understand how they're allowed to have custody of these children. I don't get it.
Right. So anyway, there's another thing to that too. But anyway, I'm thinking they are being raised in a family who thinks it's okay to kill someone for them. I mean, how are they going to turn out? Right. I'm really concerned about those children and what's going to happen in the next, few months, especially with this latest development. So, because they're not, one of them, I think they're at least 12 years old now. So yeah, isn't that crazy though, Georgia? Like, Georgia, seriously, the Adelson Institute, what an inflated, I mean, I seriously knew nothing about this case, and I'm looking up the Adelson and I'm like, it can't possibly just be a dentist office. I looked and that's all it is. Mom does the books. They've got a dental hygienist and an office person who does that's it. And they've all been on the stand. It's crazy.
Wow.
It's crazy.
Wow. With like you were saying with the boys, it's just, I mean, look at how Harvey and Donna have raised Wendi and Charlie.
Right.
And now they're doing it to these boys because nothing's changed. And Wendy's doing it to these boys. Like, they are so much the victims, not just because they lost their father, but now it's insane.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another weird thing. Sophia brings up about Harvey being into dark things. I'm not sure what they are, but Harvey was definitely interested in Photoshop and using photo filters and making Wendi look like a Barbie doll in photos. It was really creepy. What? That creeps me out. I can't imagine my dad putting big boobs on me.
Ew.
I know, ew, indeed. A double, triple ew. Yeah.
Oh no.
Yeah. So
when I was listening to the Over My Dead Body podcast, the other thing that hit me, and as soon as I heard it, I texted you, she changed their last name.
Yes.
Let's just completely erase their father out of the picture.
Right.
All of him out of the picture.
While saying on the other side of her mouth that he was a great father. He never harmed her. He loved those kids. He lived for the kids. So why do it then? She claims it was for safety. Part of the ruse, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's insane.
And another thing I tried to bring out, I've been doing a lot of shorts, clips of the videos that you and I have done together, and the interrogation, and as well as Luis's. But this idea that she's crying, because I was thinking back to myself, like, why did I think there was something? I think there is some genuine crying. I also think there's genuine fear. And here's what was brought out. Here's what's brought out. 2 reasons. Well, 3. She kept saying she thought she was a suspect, so she would be afraid. I mean, I would be if somebody thought I murdered. And then Luis said, why are we, to Sigfredo, in his proffer, he said, why are we even doing this? I don't have anything against this man. If this woman has so much money, why don't we just go rob her? Now, if he said that and Sigfredo mentioned that to Katie could have mentioned that to Wendi or Charlie.
Sure.
And she could have been genuinely fearful that, okay, now he's been killed. Even if she didn't know everything, let's just say she doesn't know that much, but okay, sure. But she could have been genuinely afraid, like, because she knows her brother had made this joke. She knows her brother in earnest, according to her boyfriend, had made serious inquiries about having Dan murdered. And so maybe she's like, okay, did this really happen? Now do I have to be afraid? So maybe there was, and let's just say she was involved, because, let's just say that.
Allegedly.
Okay, I was putting myself in her shoes. It's like, okay, let's say I got myself into some kind of crazy plot like this, and, you're mixing with people who are willing to murder for money. Yeah, I'd want to go out of town and get somewhere safe. They might know where I live. True. I don't want to associate with you. So there's a lot of things that could be true in her emotions.
Except the guys are from Miami. They came to Tallahassee to do the murder.
Right.
So like she runs to Tallahassee?
No. They did.
I'm sorry, she runs to Miami?
Well, Miami's a big place, but she ran to the safety of her family. Lived with her parents in a apartment building with guards and security and that kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah, rather than just out in a suburbia in a home.
True.
So
is she dating anybody now, or is she remarried or anything?
She's not remarried. She had some boyfriends along the way. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay. So again, just by way of repeating, the Adelson Institute. The Adelson Institute is just a family dentist office with 2 employees, a traveling periodontist, a dentist, in some kind of strip mall. I've seen the building. There's nothing impressive about it. It's like that name makes it sound super impressive. And it's like, dude, this is just a family dental office. So it really says a lot, doesn't it? I mean, can you imagine being the other dentists that have those kind of practices in the area? When this guy came up with this, they were probably like, what is he doing now? What is he doing? He named it what? Mine is just called the Packard Family Dentistry Office, like what? Yeah. What is this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Anymore?
Yeah, mine is the Family Dental Center. So yeah, it's insane.
I was like, the Adelson Institute. Oh my gosh, they're a prominent family. I don't. Once you get to know these people, it's like there's nothing prominent or impressive at all. I know a lot of, sure, they're educated. Wendi had a great education, this and that, but I'm not impressed. Not because of the murder, but just by their actions and even if these were just jokes, right? Just off-color jokes.
Ugh.
Yeah, please. Okay, so Katie, do you remember where we left off?
She was trying to get friends to help her, to be there with her.
To be there with her and pick up the boys from school?
Yep.
So it's 5:54 in Tallahassee time, July 18th, 2014. And if you haven't seen our previous videos, we're in a playlist here. So you want to get going? You want to?
Yeah.
Any more questions or no? Are we good?
I think we're good.
Okay. All right. Let me see if I can do this now that we're back. All right. Here we go. So, and then there is some dead time. Do you want me to play it back a little bit, or are we good with where we are?
We're good.
Okay. Okay. You're in control. Now you remember, anyone in the comments and Katie who's here, you just say, wait, pause, done, and I'll pause the video so we can, and then I will fast forward if there's no speaking.
Okay.
She should have her idea if she's driving. Yeah. Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you, Mr. Chuck. Are the boys doing okay?
Talking to the school.
Okay. Well, that sounds great. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Bye. My kid's outside playing. Ben is in the blocks area playing with blocks.
They're only a year and a half apart, so they'll be like a
14
year
months
behind
apart.
each other every time in school, right?
They have Ben's a July birthday, Lincoln's October, so they made up a little more space.
Okay. So like have because July he'll probably be like the young baby in classes.
That was our.
He'll be the older.
That's what we were supposed to talk about this morning. Is like whether Ben should start kindergarten or go to kindergarten twice, or what he should do. And then he didn't call me back, which was weird.
Weird.
Are you thirsty?
Yeah.
Let me see if I.
Is it Joanne or Joanna?
Joanna.
She said she was gonna bring some water.
Okay. We're kind of all running around. Let me
you
get
feel
that
like
for you.
Not
Let me
being
grab
around
some more
us.
tissues too.
I've gone through.
Oh, I want to be around you. I just know if I was sitting here, what would I probably want? Not much, but I'll be right back. Okay.
So yeah, it was weird that he didn't call her back, even though she avoided him for a week and
Right.
doesn't hesitate to. She's really into the details, this one. I'm gonna see if I can, because she's alone.
Exclude anybody that could possibly.
So when we left off, Jane hadn't entered in, right?
No. Nope.
All right.
Also, did she just make a dumb comment earlier about how like that person didn't want to be with her? Like right before that lady left, the caseworker left, she's like, "Of course I want to be with you." I was just thinking.
Oh.
So did
That-
Wendy make a comment of like, "I'm
that
sure
she
you don't
was-
want to be with me"?
Wasn't very much fun to be around, or I'm usually more fun.
Oh.
She had said that
Okay.
earlier too. Yes, she
Okay.
did. Yes.
I was running errands.
Oops, I'm trying to get, there we go. She did, and she's very interested in charming that woman and making friends with her.
Yes.
Yes, that's a
Yes.
good point. That's a very good point. Yeah, the hyperventilation kills me. Go Georgia.
Sorry, my real quick stayed a little bit longer than. Yesterday, I was gonna get Jane and bring her here for you to see.
Ellen is gonna get Jane. I'm sorry.
Investigator Isom.
Isom.
Which is the man that's been talking to. He's gonna grab her.
Grab Jane.
Yes, and Jane kind of voiced to Joanna, the kids probably wouldn't really necessarily recognize her. So, and in the meantime, Alan and Lynn got in touch with Joanna. So I think now what's happening is Joanna already called the preschool. Sorry, I know this is a lot of information taken, but I think Lynn's gonna come here, get car seats, go to the preschool.
She can't take the car because they're like examining the car.
I think, or I don't, but essentially,
if they
yes.
can take the car seats out, they are so dirty.
That's
It's covered in Cheerios. And I actually meant to make an appointment this week to get it cleaned, and I didn't get around to it. So, so they're gonna
All
take
this
the
little
car seats
small
out,
chat,
put them
like-
in Ellen
Yeah.
Lynn's
And then
car.
they'll bring them.
I'm just a mom.
Ellen and Lynn, like the kids will
Fan.
All the Cheerios.
Cheerios roll around.
Yeah.
Right, okay.
And Jane's right. She's been in a while.
Wow.
So Jane's coming in here now.
Yes.
Does she know what's going on?
Um,
Do Ellen and Lynn know what's going on?
I think they know that he's been. seriously injured. I don't.
Hi.
Hi, honey. Oh, dear. Oh, Wendy.
I really needed some help, but I'm sorry, I needed to call you.
Okay, sweetie.
Did they tell you?
They didn't tell me. I know
Are things on the news?
it is on the news, but I don't know anything. I know there was a shooting in Danny's block.
Stop. That's a weird question, right?
That's all I know.
Yes, I thought so too.
The first thing you say is it on the
Is it
news?
on the news? Uh-huh.
What?
The more this is
Okay.
going on, yeah. So the more this is going on, I'm getting the vibe that it's like, oh, I get attention. Do you know
Look at
people who like to have attention because of drama?
Mm-hmm.
I know people like that. It's just
Uh-huh.
so distorted of thinking. Okay, yes.
Isn't that part of the narcissist thing?
I believe so. And then also there's a part
Like,
of
look at me, it's all about me.
certain disorders where they don't really feel things, so they need all these extra rushes in order to just get anything going. So yeah, but this is her time to be the center of attention now.
Yeah, and like her friend,
Oops.
she
Sorry.
just jumps up and like grabs her friend, and her friend has no idea what's happening. Like,
I'm so okay.
her friend's like, "Oh, you're okay." Like, I don't even know what's happening.
Her
Like,
friend's like, okay, calm down, right? She jumps. All of a sudden, she jumps up. I thought that too. I'm so glad you're pausing, because I was like, when
it's
I
just
saw
weird that whole.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
and it gets better, as I like to say. And
good.
George actually wondering if he was alive. Yeah, she wants to know if it's on the news. What she's been digging for information here and there under the guise of being so helpful, all along.
Yeah.
Oh goodness.
Oh, dear. Oh, honey.
Oh dear. Oh honey.
You know
It's like,
how he is.
It's not good, Jane.
Really.
I was driving up the street and I saw like the tape and I just thought, oh, maybe there's like an electrical outage or something. Like I saw the street blocked.
So
I was driving into town. I was running errands. I was meeting some friends for lunch and I drove up Trescott because it's the shortcut. And so I drive up Trescott and I see the tape and I was like, I guess there was like an electrical outage because sometimes we'd have trees that would fall or whatever. And so I turned around and didn't think anything of it. I was at lunch with two friends and the officer shows up.
Pause.
And I've been here since then.
okay, what you got?
What is this? Why is she going into all these details? Like, she asked him if he's okay, and she's like, I saw the tape, and I thought for sure it was an electrical. What?
Yeah, that's basically the alibi. Yeah. That's the same story she told the detective when he asked her something completely unrelated. She's getting her story out again.
Wow.
Hi, Angela. Yeah, I got the impression here that Jane is like, oh, honey, she's probably heard a lot from this chick, right? This friend she knows. It's not that bad. Jane doesn't really know just yet Danny's condition, but she did ask how he is, right?
That's more than Wendi ever did. So
right. It's yep. Actually, isn't it interesting where I framed right here? Doesn't it look like, if you didn't know what was going on, doesn't it look like she's smiling really
she
broadly?
is. Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just chit-chatting.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, Angela. Okay, here we go.
And you don't have a phone?
Well, I had a phone. I said you can search my phone because maybe they can like find something useful on it.
We have to go through a lot of these steps, and that's
Of course,
explaining to her.
Now look at her face. The face, like poor me. Do you think maybe she's ever used this act before, like to get what she wants from her family?
Oh man.
other thing I wanted to call out, did you notice I let them use my phone? She's always holding her hands out like she's surrendering stuff, like have mercy on me. I'm doing all this stuff to cooperate again with those hands. Where at first glance, you might think that shows honesty and openness, but in reality, it's very, very telling. What were you going to say?
Well, the other body, no, you did not. The other body language part that I want to know more about is every time she hunches over.
Right.
Because that's also been interesting to me, is when out of nowhere she just folds herself like she's trying to completely hide herself. I don't know what that is.
Right. When she does that, it does seem like she's trying to collect her thoughts.
Yeah.
And hide, obviously, from the camera and from other people, but you got to imagine if this is everything that is alleged to be, to carry on like this for 5 hours, to keep your story straight, all these things, it would be very hard to do. It would be very hard to do. So you would have had to practice, and you'd have to have thought ahead of time, well, what's going to happen when I'm really there? So she has to probably continue to collect her thoughts, right?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Angela.
It's just as much effort to go through the steps to exclude anybody that could possibly be
Well,
involved.
of course, yeah.
So we have her phone as soon as it's apparently it's taking a little bit longer than normal.
Okay, now she's getting herself hyperventilating again. And she's going, I want you to really watch her face now. Everyone who's watching, just really watch the pitiful face right now.
And as soon
Is
as
Jane a lawyer?
we get done with
No.
the phone, she'll get it back.
No.
Okay.
So the main thing I was concerned about is the kids need to be picked up
Well,
on
exactly.
Friday.
Right.
And so when I came and they said they'd spoken to the Grossmans,
Yeah.
I was like, I'll get the kids. I'm a
Right.
social worker. I've picked up kids that don't know me before, but I
Right.
think
I
especially given
I
this.
gave them your name and Lynn's name and
Right.
said, I think like Alan and Lynn have done it. Like when Danny had his back surgery, Alan and Lynn did it before. So, cause I was out
Right.
of town.
And
So
they
like
have,
they've
they
done
have.
it before. They've got 4 kids, so they can.
I have, you're gonna be here for a while. You want me to
I think
sit?
so.
So like I might have a blanket in my car or something.
How do you like that? You gonna be here for a while? I think so.
I think so.
With a smile. Like, yeah.
Do we have anything
Do you have
here, or have they all
something
been
for
used?
somebody who could get
Let
it?
me check.
This
see if
woman
I have
is
that's good enough for
freezing.
her.
And I apologize, I thought about that when she was shivering earlier, but I guess got a lot of stuff.
No,
going
there's
on.
clearly there's
It's
a
not
there's
really
a
the most
it
important
isn't
thing
it's
right
not the most important
No,
thing.
no, I saw her shivering and I kept thinking I'll go out and find out if they had a bunch of them. They had a bunch of them, but I don't know what's still available.
So what do you mean he's not good? What do you know about this?
I don't think he's gonna make it.
Oh my god.
Really?
Oh,
I don't know how I'm gonna tell the kids.
Let's put that on.
that would be great. Thank you.
Thanks.
You really don't think that? You know that?
What's that? I'm sorry.
You know that they don't think he's gonna make it through this?
You're not gonna make it.
Now, how genuine Jane's gasp is, and how
Yes,
genuine her
it's
tears
real.
are. It's real. Quite the comparison, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
And then back to Wendi crying just to garner the sympathy.
Mhm. And
Yeah.
Jane was still not sure. I got the impression that Jane wasn't quite sure that Wendi wasn't exaggerating a little bit.
Yes.
So meaning that she knows Wendi and she knows that she's been maybe had that history of being exaggerating.
He's a TMH right now?
Yes.
And I was asking because I thought maybe he would, and I wanted
Right.
I wanted the kids to be
This-
with him if like he was
No,
okay.
Okay.
And now she's back to worrying about the kids. How am I going to tell the kids?
Right. And I really wanted to bring the kids there, she's saying to Jane. to see him, but yeah.
I'm sure she did.
He has family and stuff at the hospital or something.
No.
Family here.
So Jane,
was-
okay, boom.
Right, I know.
So Jane immediately starts thinking, does he have family at the hospital? Is he alone? I mean, immediate, doesn't take her an hour.
Did Wendi even ask ever about that? About if there's anybody there with him?
I think she did, but it took a long time because, you know, she had a lot of script to get through.
They don't-
Girlfriend, anybody come down? Nothing?
Allegedly.
I don't know if Amy knows yet. I don't have Amy's phone number.
Amy's on
Oh.
Facebook.
I'll contact her later.
She's on Facebook. I mean, she can be found.
Yeah. I was thinking of one more thing. This is really tangential, but his friend I told you about, Matt Price,
Okay.
his wife's brother was killed. So if you're gonna call someone first, Matt's gonna lose it. So
I don't intend on calling Matt. I
Pause.
just need to have the background.
What the hell
Pause.
did she just say?
Right. Thinking all the time, thinking. Like, if you're really that, I've lost loved ones suddenly, young, like tragically. This is not the kind of questions you're not thinking like. She does not stop thinking throughout this thing, which is what gives me the impression that it's thought through. So he said something about the friend Matt, and she's like, well, I was thinking, she even said, I was thinking about that.
And what was that tangential word? Like, who are we trying to sound like we're
Oh, yeah.
smarter? We're the smartest person in the room.
Yes.
What?
Which is why, you know, you couldn't possibly. Oh, okay. Go Georgia. What's the OMG from? I need to know what you're OMGing. And hello there, Mr. Bob Dabalina. So yeah, the way she just keep watching her face, and there's a point here that I'm just wondering if you're going to hit pause or not. Are you going to say pause on coming out?
On different associates and friends and so
yeah.
forth. You know, my objective is to find out who did this. So based on what you've told me, I'm going to take that information, compile it with other information that other investigators have worked on, and we'll see where it leads.
Okay.
Now, I'm not saying anybody that you told me about is any way involved.
Is there
I
any
don't know.
sign of stuff being stolen from the house?
I can't discuss that.
Okay.
So,
But you are discussing that you don't think he's going to live.
I'm telling you the fact that I know he's not going to live. He's not going to live. Okay. So,
Is he dead now?
well, I already discussed that with her. He has enough injury that's traumatic enough that he's not going to be able to recover from it.
Did Lynn already go get the boys?
Yeah.
What's happening right now is Lynn's on her way here. She doesn't have car seats.
Uh,
I'm gonna take the car seats out of your van, put them in Lynn's vehicle, and she's gonna go directly to Creative Preschool,
she has a key in my house, so she can.
pick up the kids.
Pause.
I'll get a chance.
She just learned that he will not make it.
And
And said
Jane,
hope.
yep. And Jane is completely quiet. And she breaks the silence.
By talking about kids and plans and thinking. Like, there was no reaction to him saying he's not going to make it. None. I mean, her ugly face cried, but I mean, I would probably take a solid 10 minutes to let that sink in.
Right. Which Jane was doing. Jane was just like completely silent. And
Unbelievable.
then Wendi breaks the silence.
And
Right.
then it breaks up. Did they get my boys yet? What about the car seat? Like,
Right.
man.
Yeah. And Go Georgia says, yeah, look at her brain tick over after he says she's not going to make it. Which, yep. That's the kind of stuff I've seen the crying, like I said, she could be so fearful and upset and nervous about her own, the whole thing, that she could probably bring on crying. And Mr. Bob Dabalina says, ultra calm when she finds out 80 won't survive. Internally, she was probably relieved. That could make sense. That actually makes sense. That's kind of what I was thinking. Okay, well, let's take care of the boys now. What'd you say the boys were? Yeah, I couldn't believe she was dumb enough to break that silence. Like, if she really was in character, like, she's really not that good at this. Oh gosh. Okay, so welcome everybody in the chat. I love it. Everybody's chatting in the chat too with each other. I love that. Okay, and I just still can't get over Jane's like gasp and pure grief. You could feel Jane's grief. I haven't felt that with Wendi.
No.
When she arrives, I will talk to her briefly and basically tell her, let's wait on discussing anything with the children. I'm sure she would do that anyway.
Yeah, I wonder if it would be better if she didn't know. Like if you, just so that because she's gonna be done. Like, what if she can't then drive and go get the boys? Like,
okay, but let me just say to you, I didn't know anything when I came here. So my husband Googles and says there was a shooting on Trescott Drive this morning at 11.
I got a call from my real estate agent who heard something.
So I know that I didn't know why I was coming here, but anybody with more sense would have known that.
John told you that?
Yes.
When you told him you were coming here? Or?
No, they found John. Interestingly, they found John's cell phone number.
They found me eating lunch. I don't know how that happened. I'm fascinated still.
We have ways of finding.
Yeah, it's interesting. So they called my husband's cell phone, and he was like, here she is. Talk to her, and they said you needed me at the police department, so I came. It was not a.
What did you think I needed you for?
I wasn't thinking it was good news, but I didn't. My thought was that Danny had probably assaulted you. That was my thought.
I think that was Lisa's.
What?
She's like, I heard there was a shot on Trescott.
So,
yeah.
What?
What does that tell you?
I don't know, but what? That was her first thought?
That's what she said.
What is Wendi telling them about Dan?
Exactly. That was my thought. Where would she come up with that?
Wow.
Yeah.
No.
Yep.
So what is Wendi? Wow.
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so I hope you're okay.
So that
Realtor.
Yeah.
So that was my, but this scenario, which is now not seeming real to me, didn't seem like that was not what I thought of.
I just keep picturing the kids.
Right. No. So there's no point in doing that. Don't do that.
Okay, so pause
When
1
Lynn
second.
gets here, I'm going to just ask.
Okay.
Sorry, I saw that comment. Who is LaCasse? Because I've seen other comments about him.
You're going to find out in a couple minutes.
Okay. Perfect.
I would answer you, but I know it's like right around the corner here. Enter Jeffrey LaCasse, so you can listen for that. Let me see. One more comment. I want to know if Jane is still.
Oh, that's a good question.
Yeah, according to Judy, our friend Judy, the YouTube lawyer at AA Legal Focus, they at last we know that they're still friends. Fairly recently, but we don't know now.
Ask her to take the kids to her house. Would that be
Instead of my
unreasonable?
house?
I think
Wouldn't
that's
that be
much
more
better.
reasonable?
Is that better? She has a TV. They can
Yeah,
watch TV.
yeah,
I know, but
Yes.
they've been there before.
A
Yeah.
bunch.
Yeah,
Yeah,
take
they're
them
very
there.
comfortable there.
They
Take them
have
there.
children of their own.
They've got 4 kids. They're grown, but
Take them there. Take them
okay, yeah,
Because,
All right, I'm going to go make sure that I don't miss her.
okay.
thank you.
Lake Grossman, right?
Mhm. This is Sarah, by the way.
Hi, sir. Are you a victim advocate?
I am.
I said you used to be a victim advocate. Was I
That's
right?
not true. Yeah, I've done lots of stuff like that.
I recognize your name, and then she explained.
What's your last name?
Latour. I've only been here about 2.5 years.
I am losing my shit.
Well, that would be appropriate. I think you should do that. I think if you don't do that, that's
Jane,
not right.
who would have done this?
That little acting job right there kills me.
And are they
Yeah.
going to come after my kids? Or me? Who's next?
Is Jeff this much of a lunatic?
I don't even
Who?
think Jeff. I hope to God not.
Let me ask who Jeff is.
Yeah, of
Yeah, I
course.
think you should. I think Wendy's been seeing a guy called Jeff,
Who's a friend of Jane's. And
who's jealous.
yeah.
Are you still currently seeing him, or just something you kind of
Well,
let taper off?
it's
maybe?
been a bad week.
Okay.
Yeah, Jane and I actually went for a walk together Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, early this week.
Okay, again, pause.
We're taking a 1 week.
Okay.
She doesn't have a voice this last week.
That's right. That's what I said. It's like, wait a minute. It's been a bad week, which means they've been talking the whole time, but she couldn't talk to
She didn't
Danny.
have a voice to talk to Dan.
Right. Right.
Okay.
Right. Also, that whole, hey, this is Sarah, and then she's talking to Sarah and Jane. Who would do that? Like, this
Yes.
whole dramatic, like, what? That was weird.
Week break. From
I took
Jeff.
a 1 week break from communication with Jeff to figure out what to do.
Okay.
Because we've been dating for like
A year.
9 months, so like 10 months a year.
And when you use the word dating to you, is that's my boyfriend, or is it more of just dating, like the
Yes.
casual? Okay.
Yeah.
No, like he was my boyfriend and involved with the kids, and I mean, yeah. And we had kind of a fight recently, and he's been trying to get back together, and I didn't know if I wanted to, and so he actually, the morning that I gave that talk, my boys were there and Jeff was watching them, so I could give the talk. Like he's, Jane, do you think I have to tell them about him?
I think you
guess.
have to tell them about him because that is the only
God forbid.
the only thing that I can imagine related to you, related to Danny. would be
The only
Jeff.
thing I could come up with was like his girlfriend Amy is recently divorced, separated, not really
Sure,
divorced. Like,
sure. So
what
but
if-
either of those people,
like the jealous boyfriend types, like what if the ex-husband,
right, totally. And you know that this divorce has been very stressful, and Jeff has been very stressed out by the stressfulness of your divorce. You know,
I mean, I'll tell them this, right? Like, can you tell them?
And when investigator Isom comes back, you guys can just, stay, and he'll ask all the questions that investigators ask that I don't think of very often because I'm a victim advocate and I don't think of
right,
things
but I
that.
think you do have to tell him about him.
I think she needs a garbage.
You weren't
I'm not
thinking
telling
of
on
him.
purpose.
No, I'm sure,
Yeah.
I'm sure.
I wasn't thinking of it.
Someone in the
I just
chat
kept
brought up
thinking,
that they're
like, who
props.
in the world?
Is he
Tissue
someone
props.
that has,
Look at how much I've cried.
access to?
He's a professor of social work.
Okay.
He's
All right.
former military,
Yeah.
but I mean,
But he's
you
not-
That
you
was
don't
funny.
think about this guy as like, oh, there's the kind of guy.
Right.
I mean, I would more just as like say that maybe you did this.
Right.
It's just relationally, he's jealous.
Right.
I just want to say we're learning a little about Jane here too. It would be interesting if she ever had to testify. I have some questions for her. But first of all, she thought Danny assaulted her. Now she's saying, well, it could be Jeff. And now they're talking about Danny's girlfriend in New York, that her ex-husband could be. So you're learning a little bit about Jane as well as what Wendy's been feeding her all along, which happens.
Something is bad. This and that. I'm just
Something is bad.
I'm
Yeah.
just assuming that this isn't true for the moment, but I guess that's not so.
And you have to look at it this way, telling them this, if anything, will help them disqualify.
Right. That's
Yeah.
important to do.
Yeah, of course. Do you want to give them his number? So we can-
I can give them.
They have
I
my
give them
phone, so-
they certainly have a ton of stuff from him. So I Googled Trescott shooting.
Thank you for being here. So you Googled Trescott shooting, and what do you see?
Just that
Digging for information again.
And it's on the news.
And unfortunately, the media here tends to get places, and they can't really stop them from being
Oh,
outside.
how often is there shooting in like northeast Tallahassee, right?
Trescott Drive,
On
not so
Trescott.
often.
This is what I can't figure out. How did how did he get to the hospital? Like, did he call 911?
A neighbor, according to WCTV, here.
This is what
And
I
as
can't
we said,
figure
the
out.
police department won't release his name until they notify
The family.
and them being in Canada puts a little bit more of a wrench into our notification because it's a little bit more difficult to do internationally, but
God,
we're in the process.
and there's really, his injuries are really terrible.
The police got notified because a neighbor, is it a picture of the house? Oh my God, you can see the car. You can't
Right.
tell it's our house.
Well, yeah, right.
You
You can't tell it's not your house. It certainly appears to
Could
be
be
a
any
house
house.
like your house.
So now it's her house again?
Yes, our house. Right. Right.
That she's been gone from for 2.5 years? It's
Yes.
our house?
Which she hated, but she hated Tallahassee, but then it was, yes, it's conveniently her house when it suits her emotional fishing expedition.
And they say the 2100
Okay.
block of Trescott Drive. It must be still blocked off. I bet it's going to be blocked off for a while.
It's certainly a crime scene, obviously a crime scene.
But it's like a thorough, I mean, a lot of people use that as like a drive-through.
Now, people obviously know about this.
And there she is
Dan
again about how it's a
places
shortcut
today.
and people use it
I
as
don't
a
know that he had
drive-through.
anywhere to show up today.
Right.
Did you? Like, did you know? Because like it's summertime, he works from home, right?
Right, but there are people, but imagine if any of us fall off the grid from 11 o'clock this morning, any colleagues,
That had a meeting or whatever.
Right,
Yeah.
all of the stuff he does over phone.
Right. Well, he and I were supposed to talk about where Ben was going to school. And it was very unlike him that I was the one who had to call him. So like he called early this morning. I had a repair guy at the house. And he called early this morning and I left a message and then I called him back. I have the phone record. He called at like 9.
I have a phone
And
record.
he told me he went
And
to
all the
Premiere.
details
So
again.
I don't know, like I think he went straight from dropping off.
I have never in my entire life said to someone, I have a phone record. Like,
I have a record
ever.
of my calls.
Who says that?
Ever.
Like, I maybe have said, oh, let me see, when did they call me? Oh, let me look on my,
Yes.
But I have a phone record. She also uses the word whereabouts. I don't know if we caught that earlier, but it's like, who says whereabouts? Who says
And then the other thing about, they keep on saying like Trescott Drive, like it's like a prominent, everybody knows about it.
yeah,
Is that the case?
it's kind of it's kind of known for how pretty it is and the canopy trees and that kind of thing. It's definitely not a shortcut from her place though. It's not.
Yeah, because then she says like, people just drive through there. Like, I feel like it's one or the other.
Kind of like the people who go
Okay.
to the Adelson Institute to have their teeth cleaned because it's so great.
Enough
The
boys to go to
Institute.
Premiere.
The Institute.
And then he said, I'm going to do an exercise class that gets out at 10:15 or 10:30, and then we can talk after that. You remember how I had a voice thing? Like I hadn't talked to him. He was like, I know your voice is bad. Like, does today work? And we can.
Yes, Wendy, we remember.
Her voice was bad, but we've been talking all week to my best friend Jane.
Remember, Jane? Remember that? I'm almost getting the impression that Jane is in on this because it's like, remember this and remember that. It's okay.
He said we could go for a walk at the law school, or we could talk.
That's right,
like,
Angela.
And I have this message on my phone from him, which is why I said to the officer, there's no way he did this to himself. Like 0 chance that
No way.
he shot himself.
No, of
You know,
course
Wendy.
not.
I think there's 0 chance.
0
that
chance.
Danny would kill himself.
That'd be really hard to do from the outside of a closed car window. Like, unless he could duplicate himself. And I mean, yeah.
They don't have the details, so I'm going to give her a little bit benefit of the
Oh, no,
doubt.
they know that. They know that. Oh, Jane doesn't, but the police would know that.
Yes.
You can see from walking up what happened.
Yes,
Okay.
0 chance. Like someone did this to him.
Yes,
So
we know.
he had
We know
plans that we
someone.
would like, and he said this,
This is what I call a little hidden guilty omission.
She said, we know?
Well, just that someone did this to him.
Okay.
Yes, they did, Wendi.
9, like, we'll take a walk, we'll figure this out, we'll talk about school. And then I called him at like 11:45 or so and left a message. And that was, I thought weird, but I thought whatever, like
And
he's
you
in a meeting.
probably thought, oh, good, I don't have to talk to him.
I
But
was really anxious
oh
about
my
speaking
God.
with him and having this be a contentious issue about where
Which of
our
course
kid
it
is gonna go to
is.
school.
Oh my God.
And I didn't hear from him.
Okay,
and I didn't
pause
think too much
again.
of it. I just thought like,
Okay.
So 2 seconds ago, she's saying that, I was just going to go take a walk with him so we could chat. And now she's saying, but I know it'd be such a contentious issue.
Right.
So what are you going to do going out and about with him? Like, if it's a
Right.
contentious issue, I want to be around people.
I thought it was a little odd that, right, Jane thinks he might have assaulted her, but now they're just going to go for a walk. I thought that too. It's like, I don't think that they were going to just go for a walk and chat about this. I have a feeling that just might, you heard it here first. They have a little insight as to maybe why she might not have just been driving, but might have been walking in the area. Possibly.
Huh.
Because somebody knew it happened as soon as Luis and Sigfredo called Katie to say it was done. Katie said, yes, I know. So this walking with Dan as a concept, which seems very unlikely, like you said, to me is like, because everything she's saying has a purpose, a reason she's laying this out there. Okay, let's get to some of these comments real quick too. Hi everyone, and thank you. Okay. Whoops. When I hit the show button, okay, there we go. I can't see it when I hit the show button. It's funny. Mr. Bob, I never thought of that. So Mr. Bob Dabalina, CCT cameras would have eventually cleared JL, which is Jeffrey LaCasse. This is the boyfriend that she took a week off of. The same time she was basically taking a week off of Dan and everything else.
Yeah, convenient.
Would have eventually cleared him, but it bought Wendi time to get out of Tallahassee and join her parents in Florida and Stonewall investigators. That's right. Because they did pursue. We have his interviews as well. We can go through.
Oh, goody.
Yeah, goody. There's so much. Yeah, I don't think they're irrelevant though. Go Georgia. I think that she's laying out some hints because she doesn't know how to keep her mouth. She's trying to find the balance between what should she say to make sure that she's got all her I's dotted and T's crossed in terms of her own alibi, shall we say, or accounting for where she was and what she was doing, but at the same time maybe letting out a little too much information.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
just call me later.
Good job,
And then
everyone.
around noon, I had lunch plans at 1, and I was supposed to go to a friend's engagement party tonight, and it's called a Stack the Bar engagement. So I went to go find bourbon.
Here we go again.
So I went to drive to ABC Liquors, and I went to go through Trescott, and it was blocked off.
Did you notice when she said, so I went to, she had a little giggle when she said, so I went to go buy liquor. Like, and by the way, nobody asked.
So I went around, and then I looked for bourbon, and then I got gas. That's why I was trying to show the officer, like, I have receipts from all these things, but I don't know.
I'm offering it up to you.
I mean, obviously, like, I would be one of the people that they would think did it.
Well, you have
Yes,
the most
obviously.
contentious relationship with Danny that anyone has.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pause. What did Jane just say?
She said, well, you were in one of the most contentious relationships that anyone could possibly have with Danny. That's pretty contentious.
What is Wendi telling her?
Sorry?
I said, what is Wendi telling her? It's
well,
crazy.
right. It was contentious in the sense that she really wanted to leave Tallahassee and bring the boys
Yeah.
in. She did a lot of nasty things. She took a bunch of money. It was contentious for a reason, Wendi. It was like, she walks out, leaves divorce papers, takes half of the money, takes more than half the furniture, takes the kids, doesn't tell him where she is. Yeah, I'd say he might be a little miffed by that. And yes, I do think that was a bit of Duper's delight. That's a good call, Georgia, on the little giggles about going to buy the whiskey going down Trescott. And I mean, why would you even have a reason to giggle about that? And, you know, if you felt like you had to tell her the whole story, you certainly wouldn't be giggling. Yeah, it's very strange. Very strange. Yes, we like Mr. Bob Dopolina. Okay. Anything else before we keep going?
No.
All right.
You know, but
They swapped my hands.
well, fair enough.
Gunpowder.
They should. I
They
mean,
asked
they
me if I
should.
washed my hands since noon, and I was embarrassed to say I hadn't. I don't remember when I last washed my hands.
Oh God.
Oh, you're so
Yeah,
cute,
no, I
Wendy.
think
That's so
Jeff was
cute.
somebody that they should talk
Okay.
to. And I don't know of anyone else.
They were asking, like, does he have gambling debt? Does he have? And I'm like, the only person he owes money to is me. Like, there's no one. He's like, he's a straight shooter, right? Like, he's not an alcoholic. He's not a gambler. He doesn't have a sex addiction. He doesn't, you know, like, he doesn't have any like weird stuff going on in his life.
No, he's
Nobody
not.
asked this.
He's not.
You could be sure if he did, we'd be talking about it right now.
And nobody asked her this.
No. No.
None of that.
No.
None of that has been brought up earlier.
Which means this is on her mind. Like, well, how can we muddy these waters?
That's what he was saying. He's like, is there anyone that hates him? And I'm like, he's difficult, but he's difficult in
not
like an
liked.
ivory tower kind of way.
He's not liked, but he is
He's
not.
not liked, but he's not hated.
Certainly not.
He's
And
adored.
people love him.
How do
He's
the
not
students
liked.
Right.
feel? Like, is he like?
Oh,
well,
Jane
students-
does not
some
like
students
him,
like, oh,
does
this is
she?
great.
I think there's some that really like his method, and there are a lot who don't like him at all.
So you say he's more disliked?
He's a
more
very
feared.
abrasive guy.
Does he challenge you kind of? Would that be a good?
He's a lawyer.
challenging. He loves to argue, so he's fairly
His job.
elitist. So like the
He's
students,
very elitist. Oh my
students
goodness.
Did you say pause?
No.
Oh.
I said that's his
felt
job.
like put down by
That's his
him.
job. That's right.
And so they feel like insecure but again, we're not talking about like hateful and awful. We're talking about like difficult,
Right.
you know,
Right.
Right. And he has colleagues who really don't like him.
but not enough to.
But this is
kill
a
him.
different, right, it's a
Like,
different, right.
They don't like him. They don't want to go to lunch with him. Right.
No, yeah, no.
He doesn't
this
make
is-
friends easily, but it's not like he makes a ton of.
And he has and he has very close connections at the temple.
That's what I said. I
I mean,
said
he
he's
has-
got
He
Jewish
is,
community and like
he's important in the Jewish community, and he's loved, and he's
And there
serious
are two
academic.
Jewish temples in Tallahassee, or just one?
it's kind of complicated. There's
There's
Temple
three, at
Israel,
least.
which is the Reform synagogue. There's Shomer Torah, which is the conservative one that he belonged to.
Okay.
And then there's Chabad, which is sort of like, it's not really clear. It's kind of like a proselytizing thing. And he would
Again,
speak,
with
like,
the big
I'm there,
words
I'm bringing kids to
and the
events
smartest
there, and
person.
I'm there, so he's sort of affiliated with two of them. I bring the kids to stuff at
At
Temple Israel too.
She's also showing her knowledge of the religious community,
Uh-huh.
which kind of means I'm pious, but actually we know she wasn't actually involved in the religious community
I mean, he's very, very connected.
to the extent that
across the
Danny
Jewish
was.
community.
Yeah, he's very
Because
involved.
he's also very, like, he had a major Jewish education, so he's extremely knowledgeable about Judaism, and he cares deeply about how people interpret scripture and law and rule and practice, and he's involved in all those sort of debates at the community level, and he's very, it would be hard to overestimate how involved he has been in the Jewish community. He has a lot of connections.
And it was kind of one of the reasons.
What
why
does
we
that
were
have to do with
just,
anything?
Like, I'm Reform, I'm kind of
Sorry,
culturally
pause.
Jewish. Like, we just,
Okay.
Why is Jane even bringing that up? What does connections to the Jewish community have to do with his death?
Well, they were talking about who hated him, and they're like, no, nobody really hated him. They didn't like him though. They wouldn't want to have lunch with him because he was so abrasive and argumentative. And now they're talking about that actually he was loved. So I think it's Jane kind of directing this. I'm
Yeah.
not sure. Yeah. Yeah, I think
Okay.
Jane is. Mhm.
Just really different religious perspectives. In the middle of a fucking nightmare.
I didn't want you to be married to him, but this was not the method.
Well, that's what I said
Not
to
the
the
method.
officer. I was like, we had a rough time, but
This has been a terrible
he's
time.
the father of my children.
Right.
And things were entering a new phase where he has this girlfriend and he's out of town a lot, and that was nice. That's why I know there's just, I mean, given his personality and everything, there's no way that he did this.
No, he didn't.
He had plans to be out of town. He was leaving on Saturday.
And he was delighted with Amy, and he's been delighted with this.
Yeah.
And delighted with the boys, and delighted with.
No,
with,
he didn't do this. So somebody did.
He was angry and upset about the divorce. Really, really angry at Wendi. Really, really angry. But really pleased with.
I just had a thought. First time. Woo! After watching this, I don't know, 5 times. No. This going on and on about he didn't do it to himself. He didn't do it to himself. Maybe they weren't planning on Sigfredo shooting him through the window.
So it could have looked like a suicide.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah. The other thing is, after listening to that podcast, they met through like a Jewish dating site, correct?
Yes.
And a lot of people said that they didn't want him. Was it a good match from the beginning, or was she just doing it? I don't know why.
There were
I know that
problems.
there were fights at the wedding because he wanted a kosher wedding, I heard, and then her mom picked the caterer and it was not kosher, and he was very upset.
Yeah, really nice thing to do, Donna.
Yeah,
Mrs.
you know
Adelson.
she did it on purpose.
Oh,
yeah, but
can you imagine? But to answer your question, in the unveiling by Ruth Markel, Dan's mother, she offered some insight into, before the wedding happened, that there were issues, and I can't remember if she said we were questioning whether he should go through with it or not, but she did say that one of the other things that she brought out in that book was that Danny asked the family, his mom and dad and sister, and also ostensibly the friends, because it turned out to work out this way, that hey, don't bring up that I graduated from Harvard during the wedding festivities, because it makes Wendi feel insecure.
Oh, good Lord.
Not kidding. She wants to be the greatest, and I think she married a person who was, an intellectual,
Better than her.
theoretically, even if they were an equal, on equal footing, but morally from a whole different background. But they got married. They met on a dating site, and I believe they got married without a ton of dating ahead of time. So, yeah, they found out quickly. He found out at the wedding what kind of family she was really from.
How things were going to go
It's been 2 years, and things for him were a lot better.
For him, things for him were a lot better. It's been 2 years, and things for him were a lot better, but not for her.
Not me.
But not for her.
Do you mind if I get Investor Iceland to kind of tell him about Jeff?
I think you should do that.
Let me go grab it.
I can't believe you brought your own drink here.
Well, I wasn't sure how long I would be here. I was thirsty. I had just arrived home to pour, say, a glass of wine when they called and said, "Don't you want to go to the police department?" I said, "Jay, no, not really."
People we did do this, right?
I assume you didn't do this.
I wish I had I was home working on a paper that's due.
Well, you'll
I
have,
sent it in, like I sent edits to
you'll
someone.
have,
I
there's
hope they have the time log.
of course they will,
Make sure
all
they
of
have the
that
time
is
log to
kind
prove
of,
that I was home.
Right.
You will,
Just made sure of that.
you don't
I
have-
understand why they think it would be me, but
Of course it would be you.
I really wish I would have kept track of how many times she said that so far, but we're approaching 10, even though he's
I mean,
constant.
there's been 3 times in just this one.
Yeah, even though he's constantly said you're not a suspect, but that's
You're
again,
not a suspect.
that's kind of a way to put them off, like, oh, well, she's not a suspect because she's saying that, but
If it's not you, Jeff would be my vote. Now, again, just going by, likely, I agree with
this
you.
can't be an accident.
He didn't do this.
Could be an accident.
Jeff,
I hope to God he didn't.
I know Jeff didn't do it, but.
couldn't quite understand what she said there.
Could be an accident, I think
I
she
know, that's
said.
what I said. I was like, he's there and he's full on. Like, I was like, is he with Shin?
I couldn't pick it up.
Yeah.
Let me go back. I know
His
that.
personality and everything. There's no way that he did this.
No, he didn't. Said that if they don't know whoever did, if this goes unsolved,
I'm
that's
so
the worst
scared
thing for
of
your
so
boys.
many things, Jane. Like, do you think whoever did this is going to come after the kids?
I'm very worried about that. And I think
I don't want to be like left alone in that. Like, I want protection. I'm scared. I don't know who this is. I don't.
Okay, well, you should maybe go and stay. I think you should go stay. Can you go to Lynn and David's?
Ellen, yeah, yeah.
You
they
should.
have lots of bedrooms. I could just.
You
stay
should.
there for a
The
little
boys
bit.
are there.
Yeah.
And
I need to pick up a
They
few
need-
things. Like, I would need my contact lens case.
just go there.
I'm really glad you're here. I am losing my shit.
I wish they'd
Jane,
come back.
This is. They keep doing this where like they leave for long periods of time, and it's 5:30 already.
Mhm.
I've been here for a while. I didn't know if I don't know. Are you looking to see if there's more info?
No, I
online?
have not this from Danny. I have from Kara. So I called her.
I talked to Kara yesterday. I was taking a walk around 5. I met a new friend last night, a friend of a friend, this girl Malia. We went to Tallahassee food trucks
Wow.
last night, hung out with her for hours.
Must have been a really healthy throat then,
Yeah.
because she just
And why are
told
we?
she just told Danny this morning that her throat was okay. Yeah, let's talk.
And why are we throwing in more details and more information and more?
Timeline. Yep.
What
Just
are you telling her?
Yeah.
who would be talking about that
Because,
stuff under these
She
circumstances?
also Googled.
Who would be?
And she said, oh my
I
God,
can't
those two
imagine
don't
that.
know. So both
No.
she and John Googled.
Why would they Google? Why would that just come up?
I said to
Hi,
both
Stella.
of them, I'm going to the department. They're the people I said, I'm going to, John was there when I got
Yeah.
John got the call from the police officer. So then I'm in the car. I'm like, I'm calling Kara.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm on my way to the police office.
Well, I would have called
And-
you and Kara, but
but-
Kara's in Portland.
Right.
I'm really glad you're here.
So I just,
I owe you
I just,
big time.
no worries. And so I'm just saying to her that Danny's been shot at. It's serious, because until I know that, I can't quite take it, and that's the,
Do you think you could, like, you're allowed to leave the room? Can you? Oh,
here they're coming.
Hey, I just wanted to let you know that Lynn just came,
Oh, good.
just got the car seats in, and she's headed out.
So we have a real concern.
Okay.
Would it be possible for a rabbi to be sent to the hospital?
Okay.
so Danny's very
I don't know.
religious.
Okay.
I don't know if he's
And-
even alive, but.
Okay.
Finally.
It-
Finally.
We're just really struggling with the idea that he's there alone.
No.
And
Okay.
he's very religious.
Okay.
Pause.
And I'm sorry to think of this earlier.
Yes. And she just started saying, I'm sorry I didn't think of this earlier. But
And where the hell
I
did
don't
that
understand.
idea even come from? Like they're
Jane,
chit chatting like life is just like normal and talking about our
Wait.
friend and what I did last night. And Jane's talking about, oh, I need to text this person to let them know about Danny and why I'm here and blah, blah. And person comes in the room and the first thing they say is, I think we have a very concerning idea.
right. And it really only
That's a
came from
Jane idea.
It only came from Jane. And again, it's okay. So now it's 5:30. So it's 3 hours later. this is what made me so anxious when I first looked at this interview. I was like, what about him? You know, all I could think about was that poor man in the hospital all by himself at this point, right? Because they're saying the mom hasn't contacted the family in Canada, all this. And it's like, what is going on? And she's talking about food trucks, and I did this, and I went and bought bourbon and all this like weird stuff. And I didn't have a voice though, but now I'm fine. And we were going to go for a walk, which I just
And now
realized.
out of nowhere, Jane says he needs a rabbi with him.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I don't think I like Jane based on the first. I don't like her.
I don't like people who buy into other people's story without checking it out, like without some kind of like balance. Yeah. So Stella says, I'm so curious what info she spilled accidentally versus what info her and her family plan to have her say. She seems to spill info easy. Yes. And we're picking up on a lot of this stuff. Stella, I don't know if you've seen all the videos, but there's a lot of things such as, I don't know if you heard this part, and I just realized this today, is when she said Danny and I were going to go for a walk and talk about the kids. And she's talking about how they didn't get along at all, and it's so contentious, and her family hated him because he hurt her. And it's like, and all of a sudden they're going to go for a walk. Well, I think that's maybe because she wanted to make sure that, oh yeah, I was walking, I was going to meet him or something along those lines in case somebody was going to spot her there that morning. Because somebody did see enough to know to tell Sigfredo, yeah, I know it was done.
Earlier, but I can give you the names of the two rabbis in town, and I think they should be called.
Okay.
And at least he's not, because his family isn't, like, nobody's there with him.
If Sarah, can you write down these names?
Because I think if they could go, like, whatever's happening,
I understand.
whatever state he's in, some kind of blessing
I
is
understand.
required.
Okay.
Okay, so I don't have any phone numbers,
Okay.
but Jack Romberg is the name of
Romberg.
So Jane must
Okay.
be
is the name
Jewish
of
as
one of the
well.
rabbis. The other rabbi has a
Yeah, I'm guessing so. I'm
Okay.
guessing so.
name that's going to take you a while to spell. His name
Sometimes those are the easy ones because I find one and that's the only one there is.
his name is Schnoyer Eurichman.
Common spelling on that?
Nice. That's really his
That's a
name.
good one. But his
Good
last
name.
name is Eurichman. Oirchman. His first name is Schnoyer, Schnoyer.
I'm just Googling Rabbi Tallahassee. And
I'll see what I can find. If you'll tear that out for me and I'll see what I can find.
Thank you.
But Lynn is here. The car seats are in. I've spoken to the preschool. I changed the name. They were fine with that.
Preschool knows that,
Lynn is coming.
okay.
Yes, I've spoken with them after you spoke with them and told them she was coming. They were fine.
Okay. Do they know what's going on?
I don't know. The investigator,
Was
made
there?
contact, so I don't know what all they know.
Okay.
But we spoke with Lynn and
She's
said,
gonna take him to the house?
yep, and
Does they
said,
know what's going on?
we explained to her he is severely injured. He may, probably will not make it, but
he knows not to, they don't tell the
correct.
So they're just gonna pick him up, say mommy's
Mhm.
in a meeting, mommy's
Time
busy.
for McDonald's, Auntie Lynn's picking you up,
Okay.
and then I have her, cell phone number, because I knew you didn't have your phone right then. We'll get that back to you here shortly, hopefully.
Okay.
And I told her that you would call her and probably go straight to the house, whether it's us taking you there, Jane taking you there, whatever, however you need to get
Does the car need to
there.
stay here?
I don't think so.
Did I gave them my keys,
Yep,
right?
they have the keys because I
That
got
was
the
my
car
house
seats
key.
out.
Okay.
But yeah, all that should be done. Unfortunately, just everything's time consuming. So that's, kind of all we're waiting on. Okay.
Okay.
Let me see what I can.
Good, we need that, and that's just.
Okay,
that's just
absolutely.
really
And
urgent.
it's Jack Romberg and Rabbi
You can call him like Eurichman.
or Rickman. Okay?
Yeah.
We'll see what we can do.
Thank you for thinking of that.
Thank you
you.
for thinking of that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
thank
all
you
Jane.
Yeah, thank you for being a human being
With
with feelings.
Yeah.
Since I'm not, evidently. Okay, so
Sorry, lost my AirPod.
I have been thinking that Jane might have to testify. If Wendi is charged, That could be interesting. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Go Georgia says, and hi Carrie B, hi everyone. Yeah, Stella Dora says it is a problem when people get so involved in one person's life that they are so quick to throw another person or a LaCasse under the bus. So Jane was throwing Jeffrey under the bus, and Jeffrey, she introduced Wendi to Jeffrey.
Mm-hmm.
So I agree, Go Georgia. Jane seems a little bit East Coast high class to be a social worker. Probably just a little heavy for her. Yeah, but yes, and Go Georgia reminds us, and I noticed this too, Jane's surname is not traditionally Jewish. She could have been married or something along those lines, but she did seem to be familiar with, but maybe through her education or something along those lines, that she's informed about the Jewish religion. She also wrote a book, I believe, 10,000 Bones or A Million Bones. I think it might have had something to do with the Holocaust. I'm not 100% sure. I forgot what it was. I looked into that years ago, but I can't remember. So she was familiar with Judaism. Okay. I think there's going to be a stopping point coming up soon.
And I did tell Mr. Iceland that you want to talk to him again. So
Yeah. And is there a bathroom that I can use?
Yes.
I had a similar urgency need. When we swipe my hands before they let me just sit down there.
I don't know.
The other interesting thing that Wendi said earlier was when she was talking to Jane, she's like, "Oh, but you're at least allowed to leave the room. So can you go do this for me?"
Right. As if she was being handcuffed. Right. No. And she was, yeah. Yep. I noticed when Jane was leaving there, Wendi put on that pained face again. I mean, I can't even make the face because I don't have her face, but just that tragic. And then as soon as they left, it's gone. The face is gone. Her faces really do change at will. Now she's looking at Jane's phone, I guess. Yeah, she's looking at Jane's phone. I'm going to speed up while she's quiet. I think this might be a good stopping point, but let me, why can't I change the speed here? Oh, I don't know how to change the speed here. Okay.
It went away.
Okay, Angela says Jane's husband is an author who writes about, wait for it, murder. Oh, nice. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh yes, Carrie B. Someone referred to Jane as a useful idiot. Probably, I'm guessing that would be mentor lawyer when he planted the boyfriend drama with her, and then Jane brings it up after the murder. Yep. Yes, she's looking at Jane's phone, but then she remembers she's being recorded, so she puts it down pretty quick.
Yeah, and was she looking at who texted, or was she looking to see if she could Google more info
The
about
news,
the case?
probably the Google, the last thing. Yeah, who knows what she's.
It's insane. I would not feel comfortable with my friend looking at my phone.
No, pick up somebody else's phone. That'd be weird. That is weird.
Do you mind if I sit in this chair?
Oh, please do.
Jane, I'm sorry. I don't know that his family knows yet. Did we get that information?
We're working on that. What we do usually as a law enforcement agency, we don't like to tell people that over the phone if we can try to avoid it, just because it's kind of shocking news. And we usually
So can you tell
what we're
law
trying-
enforcement there to go to the
correct.
house?
That's what we're trying to do now.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yeah, because we don't know, especially people's conditions and how they're going to react. So
Is
someone
that
gets
better?
so upset that they have a heart attack
She
or
doesn't
something,
even
we
know.
want, not
Why
to
does
stay
she
on the
care?
It's
phone.
better to have a human.
Mhm.
Who would have to ask that question? Everyone knows. Again, showing she isn't capable of normal human.
But they're working on that now.
Yes.
So it's an actual
Like, this isn't a 10-year-old girl. She's a 35-year-old woman. She would know it's
That's
better
a
to
general
hear something like that in person.
Yeah, the Mr.
Versus
that's
over
what
the
he-
phone.
he's
Hey, your
so
kid's
sure.
dead.
Right.
Whatever.
Somebody could have a heart attack.
Sometimes, so it's okay.
I was just
But-
like in the car with it. I'm like, what is your name? What do I do?
Okay.
I saw that one from Kara. If you need to call her, you can. You're not being held hostage here.
Neither are you, Wendi.
I wish she had
So
been though.
bizarre.
We're in the process right now, and to do that, generally we have to someone to a telegraph that we send to the other agency, kind of giving the information.
right.
I'm going to make it's very old school as we started working here.
I know that it's not like, well, I don't know what's happening right now, but like as of a little bit ago, it wasn't definitive. Do they want to wait until it's definitive,
Well,
or do they want him to like?
that's what
They
sounds
want
pretty.
to get in contact with them because I think some decisions need to be made, and because they're his parents, they would be his next
Next
of
of
kin.
kin.
Yeah.
So he's still alive, but he's maybe on life support or some such thing.
So now she's questioning whether
I
they
don't
should
know the
even
medical
tell the
terms
parent
around it, but
because he's not dead yet.
from what Investor Ison was telling her, it does not look
But they're so concerned to have somebody with him.
from what was Investor Ison.
I said that, and he didn't.
Yeah, here's another detail. This is the first time I picked up on this. She's saying, should they really tell his parents if it's not definitive? In other words, he's not dead yet. Should you tell the parents? She's putting off the inevitable here because she knows because she said earlier in the interview when she was literally blurting out information that his parents were going to think it was her.
That's right.
Answer it.
So it's just he was very badly
Shot
multiple times, maybe badly.
When I think he did say that there was trauma.
It's also interesting how they're trying to dig for the information. They keep trying to dig to get it out, and they're not willing to say it. But let's keep asking, and maybe I'll get this info.
Especially since I'm so nice and helpful with my hands.
And that's
I
when
was
you're
saying I
asking
wanted
about
the
showing the
kids.
boy.
I wanted the kids
Yes, you
to be with him, but not if he
yeah.
looks scary.
And not if he's. I mean, there's nothing to be.
I know. I just thought he might be like.
No,
but
I know.
I got the
like
feeling
he
he
got
might be a
shot
little
in
bit
the leg.
alive.
Right.
And if he's a little bit alive, I wanted him to like touch
be
the
able to
kids
see
one
the
more
children,
time.
right? But he's apparently beyond.
Sorry. I got the feeling he might be a little bit alive. Tells me she might know something about the scene that hasn't been revealed because Dan was still moving quite a bit, even after like 20 minutes. They took the ambulance to
Oh,
yes. How would she? That's interesting. Why would she think that? Why is she insisting
little
he's
bit
not going to
alive.
die? Yeah.
On that, like he probably hasn't
Wow.
regained
From what Investor Ison
consciousness.
said, correct.
This is what
yes.
she's afraid of.
He's
From what
been.
he was saying, I
He
wouldn't
was
say
found
that.
in a really dreadful state, and he has not come out of any kind of. He ended that phase.
that's fake hyperventilating. Like, what
Yeah.
is that?
Did you call your parents, Dawn?
No, after we're just
Did
going.
she call her parents?
They have
I
my.
don't see they have her phone.
But
Yeah,
I
but I know their number.
their number.
I do know my family's number.
I don't
Know the answer?
know that I don't want to say yes, go ahead.
Okay, I'm
but
gonna go to the bathroom and come back. Do you need to like my suspect? You need to like watch
no,
me.
no, I don't need to watch you.
Okay,
Again.
I'll be back.
What I'll do too is I'll just check and see if you can call your
Yep.
okay?
maybe
Again,
so.
I don't see any issue with it.
I just think they're gonna want to come up.
Well, and you're gonna want them here. Honey.
Yeah.
So they
I want
need to.
them.
They need to get in the car right now, and they need to come up.
Yeah.
Yes, that's what needs to happen because they can stay with you at your house.
And they can
We
help me
can
with the
we
boys.
just try to figure out if you're safe to be in the house.
Yeah.
Okay, so is this a good stopping point, do you think, for today? Or do you want to keep going?
Yeah. Nope. Let's stop here.
Okay. All right. So Wendy's using the bathroom. Jane is still there. Now we're going to.
She's being held
Give it-
hostage.
Yeah, she's because she's a suspect,
God.
even though she, in her mind, might be a little bit talking if she's a little bit alive. Yeah. In hindsight, go Georgia, 100%.
Mhm.
Whoever's representing her now is like, why did you do that? Why did you talk for 5 hours? This is all
Yeah.
out here. Yeah. So for sure. So yeah, so that was the twist. So now Jane has entered. Pretty soon we're going to get into, she's talking about how she needs to call her parents and they need to talk to Jeffrey. So this is where we're going with this. It's pretty interesting, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, I do believe that she had a lot to be afraid of right now, and she continually insists she's a suspect, even though they said she wasn't. So maybe she's trying to tell us she should be. Maybe. So,
Wow.
yeah. Meanwhile, has anyone checked their Google alerts to see if any news came out from Tallahassee? It's 4:42 in Tallahassee. So if Katie's chatting with Georgia now, it's probably the end of the day. So we don't know anything yet. We probably won't know any, and we may not know anything until trial of Charles Adelson. We don't know when we're going to find out anything, or if it'll fall apart. We don't know. We just don't. So we're on Katie watch now.
Right.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for joining us today. I feel like, and thanks for your encouragement. I do feel like I'm picking out little things each time I see this, more and more. Even today, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, more stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. And of course, Jeffrey LaCasse at JL was a witness in both trials so far, and will be again. Yeah, his interview is wild. So if we ever get through this one, if she ever stops talking, like stop talking, Wendi. Like, I know how she could have made this a really short interview. If I'm not a suspect, I'm not going to speak with you.
I'm walking out
call
of
my
here.
lawyer. Yeah. What is happening? Yes. So,
But if she would have lawyered up, she wouldn't have gotten her alibi and her information out. Like, she had to sit down and do this interview. Otherwise, her information and all of her details wouldn't have been out there. Like, why she was on Prescott Drive, and why her brother's making these stupid comments. And
and just even her image, she wants to control her image. She wanted to make sure she look as cooperative as can be. And even investigator Isom to say here, oh no, you've been great, you've been really helpful. And and whether he was suspicious of her or not, or what she was saying with the brother, we just don't know. But well, thank you for being here, and thank you, Angela and Bob and Carrie and Georgia and Stella and gosh, everybody in
all new people.
Lots of new people, some new people. We haven't, has anyone heard from Antoine lately? I've been a little worried. I haven't seen him for a couple of weeks on YouTube. So I hope he's doing okay. I hope everybody had a great weekend, and it's going to be an interesting week for sure. And I've got my alerts on, and every day I've been posting things in the community page. Ruth Markel has been getting some great publicity for her book, which is great timing. And it does seem like the press is particularly interested in giving her that publicity right now. So that's great. That's a little bit of justice right there. So, yeah. So anywho, well, I have clips and shorts coming out every day, and there'll be some shorts from this video if I can ever catch up. And so this isn't going away. So if you can't always watch the long form videos, make sure you're looking at the shorts, because I put the little tidbits in there. And I don't know if you knew this or not, but I did do Luis Rivera's interrogation, at least the longer statement and some of the questions that he answered in his interrogation, or his proffer, interview pre-testimony was about 2 hours. So it's not anywhere nearly as long as this. So but he really laid things out. It's awful. It's sad. It took me a long time to even be able to listen to it, because it's so haunting. And just like, can you imagine he's chronicling the murder of another human being? So Rochelle, hi. Katie watch. Yes, I think I'm going to start doing a little videos every day. Katie watch videos. # Katie watch. All right. Okay, everyone. Well, thank you for being here. Katie, hang on for 1 second before.
Mhm.
Oh, and I forgot I didn't do my little logo thing in the beginning. So we're just going to put our extra video on and we'll say goodbye for now. We'll see you next week. But I'll be here every day on YouTube.